This year's motto is promoting Ma cultural expressions for socio-economic development, and the venue is slated for Amboseli National Park in Kajiado County, and it is an all-system go. All the preparations are on course. This is supported by our county governments and the national government as well, and will be hosting, the president will be attending the occasion. So we welcome you, Kenyans and our international visitors to Amboseli to celebrate with us the iconic Ma culture.
This year, we're going to celebrate our Ma culture in Kajiado at Amboseli National Reserve, promoting Ma cultural expression for socio-economic development.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Kijo Ma Sintai Orkeretilang. Karibuni wote.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
The Far East, the Middle East, the West, and even the African continent, all are welcome. Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orkeretilang.
Media Council demands arrest and prosecution of those who attack journalists while on duty. Plus, on the cabinet tonight,
we shine a spotlight on one of Kenya's most respected career civil servants.
Well, from wherever you're watching us in Kenya and around the world, this is Prime Edition coming to you live from Broadcasting House here in Nairobi. Good evening. My name is Mboya.
I am Muchuma Odim.
And we begin this broadcast with a look at our top stories tonight.
Another landslide, more deaths.
2 people confirmed dead, scores injured in Rift Valley.
So we made logistical arrangements to ensure that exam papers reach the schools that have been affected. And we have put in place a number of choppers who are on standby in Eldoret and that are delivering those exam papers this morning.
Tragedy before exam.
KCSE candidates among those who perished in Elgeyo Marakwet landslide. Samia's second oath of office.
Suluhu sworn in for her second term as President of the Republic of Tanzania. Plus,
voter registration race.
Nairobi, Kiambu, Machakos in early lead in voter registration exercise that began on 27th of September.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Tom, it has been a minute.
Yeah. You were away, I was away.
All right, here we are.
Back together, yes.
Our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odingo.
Let's now begin this broadcast with a look at our top stories. 2 people have been confirmed dead, with scores injured following another landslide at Kibendo in Keyo, South Elgeyo Marakwet County
on Monday in the morning.
Confirming the incident, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has called on residents to exercise caution and be aware of their surroundings and report any signs of earth movements to local authorities.
Now, this even as the government plans to send routine alerts of flood-prone areas in the county to create awareness and also to avert any eventualities.
Timothy Kipruso reports.
Just a few days after a landslide at Chesongoch area of Elgeyo Marakwet claimed more than 20 lives, another deadly mudslide has occurred a few kilometers away at Kibendo in Keyo South Elgeyo Marakwet County this morning, claiming 2 lives with scores injured.
So aliponyesha mvua nyingi kidogo tunasikia manguruma ya mawe akitokea huko juu. Alafu tena mvua ikaendelea, wakati mvua ilipopoa kidogo tukasikia nduru. So sisi kama majirani na familia tukakuja kufika hapa. Huyu mama ya mzee mke wake ambaye ameenda. So tulifika hapa, mama amevinyiliwa na wajukuu.
In a statement, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has called on the area residents to be vigilant and report any signs of earth movement to local authorities.
Kwanza wale wanaishi katika nyanda za chini waweze kutafuta makao mengine katika nyanda za juu ili wasiweze kupatwa na madhara kama haya.
He, however, lauded the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet and the Kenya Red Cross for their quick response to disaster incidents in the area. In the meantime, the government now says it will be sending routine alerts to flood-prone areas in the country to create awareness and avert death that can be caused by mudslides and landslides. Speaking after attending the 48th graduation ceremony at Kenya Forest College in Londiani, Kericho County, Environment and Forest Cabinet Secretary Deborah Baraza said the Kenya Meteorological Department will be conducting the process.
And we want to send our sincere condolences to the people of this region. Tomorrow we'll be there for the support. But as a ministry and also through KMD, that is Kenya Meteorological Department, we are sending routine alerts. And we'll be able to escalate this to ensure that there is public awareness, especially in the flood-prone areas.
Baraza regretted the loss of 26 people who lost their lives at Chesongoch in Elgeyo Marakwet County after mudslide occurred in the area, as well as 2 people lost their lives in Kibendo in Keyo South on Monday morning.
Equally, there is increased rainfall in the Lake Victoria region, the Rift Valley region, especially the west, the central and the southern region. And so we want to call upon Kenyans to be extra cautious in this region so that we can be able to move to areas that are safe. Let us avoid the riparian areas.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula Wakamba, the CS, called on the relevant ministry to map out high-risk areas so that residents can be evacuated.
So Mama Deborah na wizara yako, map out all such high-risk areas and do a Marshall Plan to plant trees to enable the protection of our soils, especially where they are fragile in the face of heavy rains.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
14 candidates who are set to sit this year's Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE have passed away in a landslide which claimed a total of 26 lives in Marakwet East, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Meanwhile, several female candidates are sitting the 2025 KCSE examinations in hospitals after giving birth.
Elsewhere, an examination center manager overseeing the ongoing KCSE examinations has been dismissed in Narok County for allegedly violating Kenya National Examinations Council regulations.
Joseph Ohungu reports on this story that we highlighted at the beginning of the broadcast.
As 996,078 candidates began writing the 2025 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations on Monday morning, an examination center manager became the first victim of tough measures aimed at curbing malpractices. According to Narok County Director of Education Apollo Apuko, The said official has been dismissed for allegedly violating Kenya National Examination Council regulations.
We have scaled down to one institution where the center manager is going to be replaced because of some kind of he's not working in accordance with the NEC regulations as far as the management of exams are concerned. And this we are going to do immediately. And therefore that institution, the deputy head teacher, will take over.
The incident also comes in the backdrop of the government's warning that no one will be allowed to compromise the integrity of the examination.
One thing I would want to tell Kenyans, and especially during this exam period, is the fact that we will not encourage any malpractice. We will not encourage at all. And I will assure you we will prosecute anyone found involved in malpractices.
Speaking at the Thika sub-county offices during the opening of an exam container, Kenya National Examination Council Chief Executive Officer Dr. David Njegere reiterated the council's directive to lock all mobile phones out of exam centers.
Everyone must surrender their phones to the supervisor, who is going to secure the phones in a locker.
Meanwhile, 14 students have died in a mudslide incident in Elgeyo-Marakwet County. Education CS Julius Ogamba and Basic Education Principal Secretary Julius Bitok, who oversaw the distribution of exam papers in Kwale and Nairobi respectively, have confirmed that a student who was injured in the mudslide is sitting exams in hospital.
In that incident, we had one student who was hurt. She was hurt on the left hand. She's at MTRH, and arrangements have been made for her paper to be taken to the hospital so that she can do her paper from that particular place.
I single out Elgeyo-Marakwet, which we had an incident last weekend. We have also made arrangements. Unfortunately, we lost 14 students in the incident. It's really unfortunate.
In Laikipia County, the County Director of Education, Bridget Wambu, where 113 adult learners are sitting for the 2025 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination in Kakamega County as private candidates.
For example, mtu amefanya class 8 na aka drop out, hakumweza kwenda form 1 to form 4, or somebody dropped out in form 1 or in form 2. So we are giving them a chance to come back and get their form 4 certificate, the KCSE.
In Murang'a County, candidates began sitting KCSE exams with no major incident reported.
Kama mvua itaendelea ama itakuja tukiwa tunaendelea na mtihani, kuna yale magari tumepewa na DCC ambao ni 4-wheel drives.
Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
President William Ruto says it is unsustainable to borrow funds from lenders, urging members of parliament to rally behind the proposed Sovereign Wealth Fund and National Infrastructure Fund once they resume sittings to unlock the potential of Kenya to become a first world county.
Well, speaking at the construction of the KenGen Kaishan Olkaria Green Fertilizer plant in Nakuru County, the president stated that the proposals are key in leveraging on the private sector to generate resources to transform the country.
Abdi Aziz Hashim now tells us Ruto states that the 4.5 trillion shillings required in transforming the nation is feasible.
President William Ruto has revisited his ambitious plan of transforming the nation into a first world country. This time, the head of state noting that his proposals are currently before the National Assembly for consideration and adoption.
To working with the leaders in this space, members of parliament, both at the National Assembly and the Senate, as we push the new initiative that will give us an infrastructure fund that is going to work with the private sector.
Is officially breaking the ground.
Speaking at the construction of the KenGen Kaishan Olkaria Green Fertilizer plant in Nakuru County, Ruto defended his earlier statement that Kenya requires 4 trillion shillings to reach its goals.
We need to be strategic, we need to be innovative, and we need to be agile in how we leverage the resources that we have. And that is why I am determined that our country has tremendous potential, and we've always talked about it. But we haven't actualized because there has not been enough strategic thinking.
Ruto stated that the private sector has played a crucial role in aiding the nation to achieve its agenda.
And it gives us an indication of what investors think about Kenya. When we say we have stabilized our economy, we have brought inflation under, we have stabilized our exchange rate, and our economy.
President Ruto also stated that he will launch the construction of the 200 billion shillings Rironi-Mau Summit Road by the end of this month.
It is no longer possible for us to borrow money to build a road like the one we are going to build here from Rironi to Mau Summit. If we were to borrow 200 billion shillings, we would have to close our books.
Abdiaziz Oshim for Prime Edition.
Let's cross over to Tanzania. And Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has been sworn in for a second term in office following a controversial election that saw her secure 98% of the vote.
After taking oath of office, Suluhu promised that her government will not tolerate any attempts to destabilize the nation in reference to protests that broke out after she was announced the winner, vowing to protect Tanzania's peace and sovereignty at all costs.
Well, JJ Kuria put that story together.
Mimi, Samia Suluhu Hassan.
In her oath, Samia pledged to protect the constitution and serve Tanzania wholeheartedly.
Na kwamba nitawatendea haki watu wote.
Addressing the nation, Samia acknowledged the post-election tensions and called for healing and unity in the nation.
Kilichotokea hakiendani na taswira na sifa za Kitanzania na sio Utanzania. Haikutushangaza kuona kuwa baadhi ya vijana waliokamatwa kutokana na kadhia hiyo wametoka nje ya Tanzania. Vyombo vyetu vya ulinzi na usalama vinaendelea kufuatilia na kuchunguza kwa undani zaidi kilichotokea na kuirudisha nchi katika hali tuliyoizoea kwa haraka.
With the opposition having called on the international community to desist from recognizing President Suluhu's legitimacy owing to the electoral credibility quest, she defended the process, saying it reflected the will of the people, even as she promised to strengthen democratic institutions and uphold civil liberties.
Na washukuru watazamaji wa kimataifa kuja kushuhudia uchaguzi wetu ulivyofanyika. Walipotusifu tumepokea sifa hizo kwa unyenyekevu mkubwa. Tumesikia pia waliodhani hayakwenda sawa na mengine hata sisi wenyewe tumeyaona. Maagizo ya kutuelekeza nini cha kufanya tumeyakataa. Ushauri wao tutauzingatia ili tufanye vizuri zaidi siku zijazo.
Samia, however, struck a conciliatory tone when she called on the opposition to prioritize the unity of the country over competition.
Ndugu zangu, nitumie fursa hii kutoa onyo kama mama, kutoa onyo kwa wale wote waliochochea uvunjifu wa amani. Na nawataka watambue kuwa vurugu na uvunjifu wa amani huishia kupimana nguvu na uwezo wa kujihami, ila mazungumzo huzaa mshikamano. Sasa tuchague lenye manufaa kwetu, kwani usalama wa taifa lolote hulindwa na wote kwa nguvu zote na gharama zozote.
Samia also outlined her second-term priorities, which include economic revitalization, youth employment and regional cooperation.
Ndugu zangu wa Tanzania, ni vyema tutambue kwa uchaguzi mkuu wa viongozi wa serikali ni mchakato wa msimu mmoja tu ndani ya kipindi cha miaka mitano. Muda mwingine wote maisha lazima yaendelee. Hivyo basi jukumu letu sote kwa pamoja ni kujenga nchi yetu na kuifanya kesho yetu iwe bora zaidi kuliko jana yetu. Niwasihi tuendelee kuilinda itikadi yetu ya umoja na mshikamano.
She reaffirmed Tanzania's commitment to peace, stability, and Pan-African solidarity. Kenya was represented in the ceremony by Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki. John Jacob Kuria, Prime Edition.
Back home, 90,020 Kenyans have registered as voters in the continuous voter registration exercise that began on the 27th September 2025.
Now, data released by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shows that Nairobi, Kiambu, and Machakos take the lead in the voter registration numbers with 16,512, 9,917, and 4,026 voters respectively.
As of October 31st, the exercise saw 15,619 voters transfer their votes to alternative polling stations and 188 updates.
Nairobi, Mombasa, Kiambu counties also lead in the total number of transferred voters with 388, 1,791, and 1,766 voters changing polling stations, respectively.
Counties that registered the least number of new voters include Tana River at 130, Marsabit at 284, and Isiolo at 312. IEBC is targeting 6.3 million new voters who have attained 18 years in preparation for the 2027 general election.
Story brings us to our first break. Remember, KCSE is ongoing. Our best wishes to all the candidates.
Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Acknowledgements to Pigeon Moronia at Mugumo Girls. We wish you all the best. Rashar Isaac of Njoro Boys. Your siblings are wishing you all the best.
And Megan Okeo from Mangu High.
Continue talking to us on all our social media platforms. It will be interesting to know which year did you sit for your KCSE?
Me. When you still use ringtones. We're going to be back shortly. Stay with us.
This November, Nairobi becomes the heart of Africa's electrotechnical transformation. From November 4th to 6th, the International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC Africa 10th Year Anniversary Conference takes center stage at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Hosted by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS, International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC, and the Kenya National Commission of IEC, this landmark event celebrates a decade of progress, powering innovation, standardization, and sustainable development across the continent. Join global experts, policymakers, industry leaders, and innovators for high-level discussions, groundbreaking showcases, and the launch of the Africa Electrotechnical Quality Infrastructure Week. Be part of Africa's journey toward clean energy, smart infrastructure, and a unified electrotechnical future. Don't miss it. IEC Africa 2025, where standards meet solutions, where Africa powers forward.
President, Dr. Chung got shot. Huh? Never asked anyone to cut corners, and I never will.
Wipe his face! Down here!
Defibrillator, 200. Clear!
You're watching Prime Edition.
Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube.
The united opposition has moved to streamline its political front, announcing consensus deals in key electoral zones.
In what they describe as a show of unity and strategy, the party leaders agreed to cede ground in the Malava and Mboya North parliamentary contests.
Here's that report.
The United Opposition has agreed to joint nominations in Malava and Mboya North parliamentary seats, with Kalonzo's Wiper also opting out of a contest in the Narok town ward in favor of Democracy for Citizens Party DCP candidate Douglas Masikonde.
Put our candidates together because their combined vote is a sure winner in Magarini. We in DCP have been overwhelmed by that very gracious action. Again, we thank Wiper Party for the gracious decision in Narok Township to cede ground to DCP. And it is in the same spirit that DCP has ceded ground in Malava, in Mboya North.
Addressing a joint press briefing in Nairobi, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua said negotiations across the coalition have made significant progress, noting that the opposition is working toward presenting single candidates in all strategic elections. The leaders from the opposition says the move is part of its strategy to front joint candidates against government-aligned contenders in upcoming polls.
We want to inform the people of Kenya that the formula of getting a single presidential candidate to face William Ruto is on course. And for those who have been in doubt, what is happening in these by-elections is a dress rehearsal of the formula and the mechanism to get a single presidential candidate to face William Ruto. And we want to assure the people of Kenya, come rain or shine, we are determined, as we have been told by the people of Kenya, that they want one single presidential candidate to face William Ruto.
Elsewhere, a coalition of 62 political parties has signed a memorandum of understanding to jointly operate party offices across 24 counties. The pact comes amid threats of deregistration for failing to meet the requirements of the Political Parties Act, which mandates functional offices in at least half of the country's counties.
Our political parties are under threat. First, from the registrar of political parties. Because all of us here, most of us here, the 62 parties have got letters giving us 90 days to comply with the office requirement that each of us must have 24 offices, 24 county offices. Yet, as you all know, 54 parties are not financed. They don't have any money from the government.
Under the new agreement, the parties will share office space while maintaining autonomous operations. The parties are now pushing for legislative reforms to ensure equitable funding for all registered political entities.
But for most of us, the question of party offices has been challenging for a long time.
Now, professionals in the media industry have been urged to reclaim the authenticity in African storytelling through amplifying genuine voices and moving beyond the commercialized narratives.
Speaking during the Moth Media Roundtable in Nairobi, panelists drawn from the creative, advocacy and journalism sectors called on the media to act as a bridge to authentic African stories that often reflect the continent's diversity and transformation.
Now, the discussion themed how storytelling is changing lives in Africa, at the same time emphasized on the importance of the media remaining a critical player in ensuring that stories told by Africans are not only accurate, but also rooted in lived experiences rather than external stereotypes.
There are many different ways to tell a story. The Moth specific way is just one. So it's our great hope that people who graduate from these workshops and people who listen to the Moth Radio Hour and the Moth Podcast will share their own stories in whichever form they choose, whether it's on the Moth stage or in your personal and professional.
There's something which is lost in terms of being able to connect fully with what a person is going through, because sometimes you can read beyond what someone is presenting to be able to fully understand what they're up to or what they are implying. And of course, even for you as a storyteller, you're able to clearly see the reactions from the people you're speaking with, as opposed to when it is on social media and you're speaking and you just have to push the video somewhere.
With lived and personal experiences, there'll be a diversity of stories. So you're going to hear a story of, with all the storytellers that we've worked with, you're going to hear different stories from different perspectives, and I think that's already an opportunity to share the diversity of how African, what Africa is.
To other developments, Media Council of Kenya has reiterated calls for the arrest and prosecution of individuals implicated in attacking journalists.
This was the clarion call as Kenya joined the rest of the world in marking the International Day to End Impunity for crimes against journalists.
The theme for this year's event was ChatGBV, raising awareness on AI-facilitated gender-based violence against women journalists.
Tilio Marco reports.
Speaking in Nakuru County, Media Council of Kenya Chief Executive Officer David Omoyo revealed that the council is working in partnership with the Kenya Union of Journalists, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Judiciary and the Witness Protection Agency to ensure justice for affected journalists.
We document, we send the reports to the ODPP, we send the reports to the police, we send the reports to the Independent Police Oversight Authority. Because if you want justice to be served, you must have evidence and the documentation.
Omoyo expressed concern that Kenya's ranking on the World Press Freedom Index has dropped from 69 in 2022 to 117 currently.
In 2025, we have 95 cases of press freedom violations. While it is a drop from 130 cases that we had last year, but you notice that globally in the Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Borders, Kenya dropped from number 62, I think, to number 116. Two major contributors. One is, we had a foreign journalist killed in Magadi, and we have no conviction.
He added that the Independent Policing Oversight Authority needs to be empowered to independently investigate and prosecute crimes against journalists, while Parliament should enact laws to ensure stringent punishment for those harassing journalists.
We have people who attack journalists. They are known, but we don't know what happens to the cases. We are not seeing accountability. That, number one, it's a threat to press freedom. And number two, it causes Kenyan ranking globally to go lower and lower.
IPOA was to do its work. Then some of the cases we've seen will not be happening because you can remember during the protest, even this year, Sabasaba and the anniversary of a Gen-Z protest, some journalists were attacked and injured, and these matters are actually reported.
Concerns were also raised on the rise of artificial intelligence-facilitated gender-based violence.
It was a specific theme of this year is technologically facilitated harassment, especially targeting ladies. Cyberbullying, people sharing needs of people, using AI now to curate and edit people's photos and then circulate them is also very bad. So now we're moving from both physical attacks to technologically facilitated attacks.
It was the same script in Mombasa County as Senator Mohamed Faki urged the government to review the recent amendments to Kenya's cyber laws, saying they impose heavy fines that could undermine rights and freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution.
Tayari tunajua iko kotini hiyo kesi, lakini tunasema pia serikali iweze kuangalia hiyo sheria, kwa sababu haina maana ya kuwa na sheria ambayo itaweza kuzuia haki za wananchi wa Kenya wakati tuna katiba ambayo inatoa haki hizo kwetu sote.
Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
To the corridors of justice now, a man accused of defrauding a company millions of shillings in a fake government tender has been detained pending a bail ruling.
Dickens Onyando Oluoch is charged with conspiring to defraud Mediquip Global Limited of over 14 million shillings by posing as an employee of the State Department for Regional Development of Arid and Semi-Arid Lands.
Now, the prosecution told the court that Onyando has another pending case with an active warrant of arrest and urged the court to deny him bail, arguing that he was a flight risk.
His lawyer, however, defended him, saying he was arrested the previous day and therefore could not present medical documents explaining his earlier absence.
Chief Magistrate Tonyina directed that the accused remain in custody until the 4th of November 2025, when the court will determine whether or not to grant him bail.
That he was born against a trespass, and he has filed an affidavit
of objection of bail or bond?
He was just arrested yesterday, and therefore he was unable to carry all the medical documents that he needed to justify his absence in court.
And bail and bond issues will be canvassed before court number 4.
On the cabinet, Francis Kirimi, beg your pardon, Muthaura, is remembered as one of Kenya's most distinguished career civil servants, a man whose steady hand and deep understanding of governance, diplomacy, and administration helped shape public service for decades.
Tonight in the cabinet, we revisit the life and legacy of a man whose influence was felt at the heart of government and beyond.
Francis Kirimi Muthaura was born on 20th October 1946 in Meru District, now Meru County. He attended Nkobo Secondary School in 1966 before joining Nyeri High School in 1968. He joined the University of Nairobi the following year, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Political Science in 1972. He holds a diploma in International Relations from the University of Nairobi. Upon graduating, he was appointed District Commissioner for Mombasa District, since renamed Mombasa County. A year later, in 1973, he was appointed Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This marked the beginning of his long and illustrious diplomatic career during the era of President Daniel Arap Moi. Muthaura later served as Undersecretary and head of the Economic Division in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as Kenya's ambassador to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Community. He was also Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations based in New York. Between March 1996 and April 2001, he was the first Secretary General of the East African Community. In 2003, following the election of President Mwai Kibaki, Muthaura was appointed Head of Civil Service and Secretary to the Cabinet. He would go on to serve in this position for nearly a decade, becoming the second longest-serving holder of the office after Geoffrey Kareithi, who served under President Jomo Kenyatta for 13 uninterrupted years. As a civil servant, Muthaura brought to government a rare combination of experience in economics, political science, diplomacy, and administration. His role was pivotal. He chaired the National Security Advisory Council and coordinated the government's team of permanent secretaries, often mediating key policy discussions and ensuring smooth implementation of the NAC government's development agenda. In 2007, President Kibaki retained him in the same capacity. Upon his retirement from public service, Muthaura was succeeded by Francis Kimemie. After leaving government, Muthaura continued to serve in national leadership. On May 23, 2018, he was appointed chairperson of the Kenya Revenue Authority. He was reappointed for a second term effective October 21, 2019, serving until 2022, when he was succeeded by Anthony Muthaura. Francis Kirimi Muthaura earned respect as a disciplined administrator, a skilled negotiator, and a symbol of continuity in Kenya's civil service. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Let's get down to some business. Kenya has taken a major step towards cutting the high cost of fertilizer after President William Ruto broke ground for the Kengen Kaishan green fertilizer plants.
The 100 billion shilling facility will use locally produced green ammonia to manufacture fertilizer, reduce import dependency, and cut costs for farmers.
The project is expected to boost food security, create jobs, and advance Kenya's transition to clean, home-sourced industrial production.
Here's that report.
Kenya is positioning itself as a potential hub for organic fertilizer and green ammonia production in East Africa. While the transition from a fossil fuel-dependent market to a green one requires significant policy as well as financial interventions, the long-term goal is to achieve food security and economic resilience through sustainable agricultural practices. Through the construction of the new Kengen Kaishan plant, President Ruto says this will catalyze progress towards low-carbon energy self-sufficiency, provide affordable fertilizers to the market, enabling farmers to produce and earn more.
Not only will farmers have a supply of fertilizer, that on events elsewhere in the world, whether we have war in Europe or elsewhere, we will not have trouble with logistics. But much more importantly, it's going to save us on our foreign exchange.
Ruto says the factory will use 165 megawatts of geothermal energy to synthesize green ammonia into fertilizer, making it the first project of its kind in Africa. Further, the plant will also help transition Kenya towards a green model by reducing up to 600,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually.
We have been, since I held the Africa Climate Summit, discussed how to balance environment and nature, and many who do not see how it is possible for us to live in a world that is sustainable and to have energy that does not interfere with nature.
We will recapture the non-condensable gases in the geothermal steam to produce a carbon dioxide, which will feed into the fertilizer plant. This means zero emissions from the geothermal power plant, no waste, no pollution, a closed system where everything has a purpose.
With a total investment of $800 million, the project is expected to generate over 1.7 billion shillings in annual profits for Kengen and open opportunities in carbon trading.
Around the world, markets are rewarding sustainability. Green fertilizer will give Kenyan exports a competitive edge, open new markets for our agribusinesses, and strengthen our position in global value chains.
Plans were also mooted to introduce a national infrastructure fund that will help the country finance key projects in energy, roads, and dams. Ndutamokami for Prime Edition.
Small and medium enterprises lose up to 150 billion shillings on missed revenue due to intellectual property theft.
Anti-Counterfeit Authority Chief Executive Officer Dr. Robbie Kinga says the agency is pushing for legal amendments to increase fines meted out on those found guilty of IP theft, which he says has increased with the rise in e-commerce.
Benson Rioba compiled this report.
The Counterfeit Authority estimates Kenya illicit trade at 825 billion shillings annually. The regulator says intellectual property theft contributes to 150 billion shillings of the total illicit trade in the country. The regulator says online trade platforms have increased intellectual property theft, contributing 30% of IP crime.
Whenever you have got a preference of counterfeit goods, they are likely, and most of the time, they affect the local industries. And the local industries, we all know the role that they play in terms of revenue generation for the government.
To protect innovators from losses due to IP theft, the Anti-Counterfeit Authority says it is planning legal amendments to increase fines for IP offenders from the current 3 times of the retail value of the seized goods to 5 times.
Look at the owners of IP rights. If you are the owner, you have right to come and complain, lodge your complaint with the authority, and we have the structures. We have the officers that will come and investigate, and this one has already been criminalized.
Japan will start training law enforcers and innovators on measures to tackle and reduce intellectual property theft, to protect local innovators and make Kenya a regional innovation hub.
To strengthen the relationship between companies and also Japanese government with authorities here to secure the proper IP protection And I think the situation getting better here, and also in the future.
Strong policies will ensure innovators can borrow working capital, with property rights acting as collateral. Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
Directors of the Kenya Tea Development Agency allied factories from the west of Rift region have attributed the low bonus payouts to farmers for the financial year 2024-2025 to market dynamics, which include, among other factors, the dollar-shilling exchange rates.
As Weekly for Kechi reports, KTDA directors dismissed claims that allowance paid to them are eating into farmers' payouts.
Majority of tea factories across the country have registered a reduction in bonus payouts to farmers for the financial year 2024-2025, a development that farmers have vehemently protested. Some farmers claimed that the reduction was caused by exorbitant allowances paid to the directors, claims that the directors have denied. Instead, the directors of KTDA allied factories in the west of Rift region have attributed the dip to the stability of the shilling against the dollar over the past year.
Directors, as usual, as has been said, are entitled to a small allowance that has been mentioned here, an allowance of 18,000 shillings per sitting. And that is not what is making the west of Rift factories not to perform.
Wale wenzetu ambao wamesema chai yetu na mafactory yetu ifanyiwe audit. Sisi kama board members, country mzima, mafactory 71 wa KTDA, sisi hatuna kukataa, hatuwezi kataa tukatae wasije kufanya audits. Wache wafanye audits na cost ile malipo, the ones who are doing it wajipatie hiyo costs.
To fetch better returns for their produce, the directors said the factories are employing sustainable measures, among them direct tea sales abroad, minimizing the cost of production by reducing energy costs and adopting high-value tea varieties, among others.
We request the government to assist KTDA in looking for markets outside this country.
Mambo ya ununuzi wa chai yetu kwenda nje, wale wanunuzi wanataka quality. Bottom line.
They also want the Kenya Tea Board to effectively scrutinize emerging private factories to avoid flooding. For Channel 1, I am Wycliffe Okech.
The Kenya Tourism Federation is warning that the country risks losing its competitive edge in the region following the disruptive changes to the Kenya Wildlife Service park fee payment system.
The system, dubbed KWS Pay, has introduced an additional 5% getaway fee per transaction and 3.5% processing charge.
Now, the stakeholders are now urging KWS to revert to the e-citizen payment platform.
The government has been working to boost tourism revenue to over 600 billion shillings annually by 2027 through measures aimed at improving visitor experiences, expanding domestic tourism and digitizing services. However, stakeholders now warn that the recent introduction to a 5% gateway fee per transaction could undermine these efforts by complicating transactions and inflating costs for visitors.
Industry is not opposed to technology. We are not opposed to onboarding on the systems. We are not opposed to the system. It's actually quite a nice-looking system. The problem here is the charges and the way that they have come up, unexpected and unknown.
Who is the person being paid 5%? The Gazette notice that was given by the same KWS for increase of park fees did not mention the 5%. So how did they start charging 5%?
Two operators complained that removal of bank transfers, which is the preferred method for bulk payments, will force them to rely on card payments that attract up to 3.5% additional cost.
When we take that into consideration, we are likely to see a reduction in numbers. Kenya is perceived not necessarily rightly, but they're perceived to be an expensive destination when comparing park fees.
The federation, which includes the Kenya Association of Hotel Keepers and Caterers and the Kenya Association of Air Operators, say the charges have disrupted bookings and cash flow, warning that continued cancellations could lead to debt, business closure and job losses across the sector.
When you look back where we've gone, $200, the Mara Reserve was 24-hour park fee, went to 12 hours. Then you had a $200 park fee come in immediately. You almost had a $40 mandatory insurance come in. You had KWS park fee within 2 days jumping almost 50%. Now you have this new gateway fee coming in.
Trevor Ngindo for Prime Edition.
One moment of violence and one stray bullet changed everything.
Mdogo wake akaniambia, unajua mama, mtoto wetu ameumia. Akaniambia ameumia usho. Susu wake alishutiwa kwa tumbo na yani akashutiwa hapa ikatokea na huku.
And in the midst of this heartbreak comes a first of its kind facial reconstruction surgery.
This is actually a 3D printed model and we put everything back together.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sports. FKF Premier League debutants Nairobi United have been pulled in Group B of the CAF Confederation Cup, following the draw held today in Johannesburg, South Africa. Nairobi United will face Tanzania's Azam, AS Maniema Union of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Moroccan giants Wydad Casablanca. The CAF Confederation Cup will begin on the 21st of this month, with the knockout phase set to commence on the 13th of March 2026. USM Alger, Joliba of Mali, OC Safi and San Pedro are pooled in Group A. CR Belouizdad of Algeria, Stellenbosch of South Africa, AS Otoho and Singida of Tanzania will battle in Group C, while Group D, which has been named the Group of Death, has Zamalek of Egypt, Al Mazri of Egypt, Kaizer Chiefs of South Africa and Zesco United of Zambia. The top two teams in each group will advance to the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Tanzania Premier League reigning champions Yanga have been placed in a tricky group ahead of this season's CAF Champions League. Group stage set to kick off this month. Yanga have been placed in Group B together with 12-time champions Al Ahly of Egypt, AS FAF Morocco and Algeria's Jeune Sport Kabylie. Here is the group stage group. Boxing, where Kelvin Gashe will make his long-awaited boxing debut this month's UFS boxing event, scheduled for the 29th of November at the Edge Convention Center in Nairobi. Gashe will fight fellow Kenyan Wycliffe Andabu in an untitled bout that will be one of the 8 fights scheduled for that night. Buckley Feather has the story.
Kevin Gashe will face Wycliffe Andabu in a 4-round middleweight bout at the Edge Convention Center in Nairobi on 29th of this month. But it will be more than a boxing fight for debutant Gashe, as he will be fighting for mental wellness.
This is a fight that it's my debut, and it's also special because November is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm doing it for that because November you're supposed to pick up a fitness challenge, and this is the fitness challenge I've chosen to pick up.
The 33-year-old mental health advocate is hoping to make it a win on his first appearance in the ring.
80% of suicides are men, right? Which shows that the bottling up is not working. The message I want to spread across is we need to speak up as men. Actually, when we speak up, we save lives. When we speak up, it shows strength. Because if you think about it, when we're going through problems, our natural response is to escape or stray away. Here, you're actually talking about what you're going through. You're actually facing it. And If that's not real strength, what is? So my message is we're fighting stigma of men's mental health inside and outside the ring.
The bout will be one of the 8 fights that night, with the main bout being the women's super bantamweight fight, pitting Kenyan Consolata Musanji against Sandra Atermo of Sweden. The 10-round bout will be preceded by a 6-round welterweight bout between Kenyan Richard Okoth and Bruno Muwezi of Uganda. Other fights will see Tanzania's Leila Yazidu take on Rachel Marion of Uganda. Ben Bottelbach of Belgium will face Valentin Pondi of Kenya. Javan Buyu will fight Abdul Hakim. Michael Odrur will face Justus Ndegwa, while Teddy Murimi will take to the ring against Brian Otieno.
And on to the fairways, where Kenyan professional golfers Shege John Wangai and Njoroge Kivugu are joint top of the ongoing 7th leg of the Sunshine Development Golf Tour, after the two recorded identical scores of 7 under par 137 at the Vet Lab Sports Club in Nairobi. Meanwhile, while over 300 participants took part in the Kenya Esports series held in Eldoret City. For these and other stories, let's get our local sports roundup.
Wangai and Njoroge Kivugu are tied at the top of the leaderboard after day 2 on 7 under par 137. Wangai produced one of the standout rounds of the tournament, firing an impressive 6 under par 66 to climb up the leaderboard. Teeing off from the 10th, the Sigona Golf Club player picked up 4 straight birdies on the 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th holes, dropped a shot on the 16th and added another birdie on the 18th. Njoroge Kivugu carded a solid round of 4 under par 68 to keep himself in contention for a third Sunshine Development Tour East Africa swing title. Rwanda's Celestine Nsanzuwera carded 4 under par 68 for a tournament total of 6 under par 138 to be placed third. Veteran pro Dismas Indiza sits in 4th place, while David Wahu and Greg Snow are joint 5th. Naomi Wafula was the only female golfer to make the cut. A total of 30 players have made the cut to play in Tuesday's final round, where they'll battle for the Betika Masters title and a share of the $2 million prize pass.
I've been practicing hard since I came from UK, and yeah, I worked so hard and make sure that I play well. We stick on my game plan, play my fairways and putts well as well, and make sure we be on top.
I think today I hit the ball very well off the tee, and I was putting so well. And having started on the back 9, it means hole 10 and 11 are really tight holes, so you have to be really steady. And I picked up very well from hole 12, where I had 4 birdies back to back, because I could hit the fairway, hit the green, and hold the putt.
Today, I had to stay patient, dealing with stomach upset. And all around, I kept it together. Really happy with the way I was patient out there. Surprisingly, I actually hit the ball quite well. So I was hitting a lot of greens, and I was really being quite conservative to conserve my energy also. So yeah, I was just hitting greens and hit the ball well today.
Finally, experienced gamer Moses Ndarwa and eFootball mobile ace Buhari Kasim won the Kenya Esports Rift Series held in Eldoret City. Top place finishers and slots at the national final set for December 12th in Nairobi. In the EAFC 26 console category, Ndarwa triumphed after an intense 4-3 victory over James Mwanzia in the final match. In the eFootball mobile category, Buhari Kasim emerged victorious after defeating Kia Dworth 2-1 in a closely.
This means a lot because, as we had said, it is our mission to come to the grassroots. It is our mission to take the sport beyond the capital city, to identify talent beyond Nairobi, to grow awareness of the sport beyond Nairobi.
In the eFootball mobile category, Buhari Kasim emerged victorious after defeating Kia Dworth 2-1 in a closely contested final. The series now heads to Mombasa on November 15th, followed by the Kisumu City edition on November 22nd, before culminating in the national finals in Nairobi on December 12th.
And Victor Maina Kabura emerged the best driver during the African Best Young Driver Finals held at the WRC Service Park in Naivasha over the weekend. The tournament brought together Africa's most talented young drivers for an intense day of competition, learning and road safety advocacy.
Kenya's Victor Maina Kabura was the best driver during the African Best Young Drivers competition held in Naivasha, taking gold ahead of Wani Tebogo Wani of Botswana, who took silver, while another Kenyan, Chris Waweru Kungu, settled for the bronze. Musawahosi Koza and Matlala Praise Tumiso, both of South Africa, were 4th and 5th respectively, while Tapiwa Lydia Geoffrey of Botswana completed the best 6.
Being a driver is not just about driving a vehicle. There's a lot of technical challenges that happen behind the road, behind the wheels, that you need to take into consideration. And that's one of the things that AA has actually undertaken with the drivers competing here.
I'm really happy to be here in this competition to make people, especially young people, aware of the importance of road safety. We used to have this competition as an international competition, and it used to take place in Europe, meaning a lot of African countries couldn't participate. So this year, for the first time, we have decided to have 2 different editions, one here in Africa and another one in Europe.
When we started Safari Rally, like 70 years back, it was a very small thing. We didn't know what it was going to be. And today we are starting BYD Africa, and I'm sure in the next 10-20 years it will be a big thing.
The championship featured national finalists who not only competed in speed, but were tested also on tire change, braking avoidance, ball slalom, and roll car stability, designed to promote responsible and safe driving among the youth. The African Best Young Driver Challenge is an initiative of the FIA and implemented locally by AA Kenya.
What I learned from this BYD event 2025, it allows us as competitors to teach the younger drivers to be responsible and focus on the road while they're driving and learning how to drive and make sure their life and they make sure like they are so safe on the road.
It has been an educative one. Learning about road safety, having to experience different challenges on how to keep your car balanced, especially with the road car, as you mentioned. It's quite difficult, and it teaches you resilience, it teaches you balance, it teaches you how to keep in touch with a lot of stuff.
This year's continental finals followed extensive national selections across Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru and Nairobi, where over 2,380 participants competed for the chance to represent Kenya in the competition.
Well, that's quite something interesting. It's something I would like to enjoy because I know I've been a speedster once, and driving with the rear wheels on stilts is something that I would like to love. But also, for those of you who love football and you like to see the best of African football, Nairobi United will be hosting 3 matches in Nairobi. Azam of Tanzania, AS Maniema Union of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and African Giants Wydad Casablanca. I'm looking for those 3 games through November all the way to February. So we've got lots of continental football to talk about. Thank you for joining us on KBC Sport. More to come tomorrow. By the way, Nairobi United, they're in action, and Kenya Police are in action over the next 2 days in the FKF Premier League, and we'll be giving you updates on that. So back to Tom and Irene.
Thank you very much indeed, Wahoma there. Nairobi United and Kenya Police, of course, we will be looking forward to those matches. Well, we have to bring this to a close. We want to thank you, but before we do that, any feedback from our socials?
At KBC Channel 1, the KCSE exams have begun, and quick acknowledgements. Nixon Wasike watching KBC Channel 1 from Mukite together with Maureen, that is in Webuye West. Tony Sleiman, your brother is wishing you all the best, saying you are in Matongo Boys, and Florence Mso. We asked which year were we candidates for KCSE. Florence Mso, you're saying 2010 under Sam Wangeri as Minister of Education, Regan Makori 2016. Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. I am Muchuma Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odingo.
In which year were you a student?
Amen.
Not during the interns.
Amen.
Well, that's all we had time for. We wanna wish all the students well. Remember, may your mind be sharp. I was writing something here. May your memory be clear and your confidence unshakable. Best wishes from all of us. My name is Mboya. Good night. We'll be back again, same time, same place tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
take this opportunity to welcome all Kenyans and our international visitors to the third edition of the Ma Cultural Week celebration that happens annually. This year's motto is promoting Ma cultural expressions for socio-economic development, and the venue is slated for Amboseli National Park in Kajiado County. And it is an all-system go. All the preparations are on course. This is supported by our county governments and the national government as well. And we'll be hosting, the president will be attending the occasion. So we welcome you, Kenyans and our international visitors to Amboseli to celebrate with us the iconic Ma culture.
This year, we're going to celebrate our Ma culture in Kajiado at Amboseli National Reserve, promoting Ma cultural expression for socio-economic development.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Kijo Ma Sintai Orgeretilang. Karibuni boke.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
The Far East, the Middle East, the West, and even the African continent, all are welcome. Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Ma Sintai Orgeretilang.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive. Not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Sasa kwa star 419 hash uko na game mpya. Tushinde spin corner. Simply spin. Kisha ngoja, na kwa entry moja unaweza angukia na uspin hadi mara 3. Na ikigonga 25,000 na kufikia instantly. Cheza spin corner sasa hivi kwa star 419 hash option 4.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive. Not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Any animal is of this species, it means they are sharing the same characteristics. Now that's why now we have classified all pigeons as one species. But in that category, now we have different types of breed from different countries. From the Jacobin, lionhead, the frillback, we have the German beety homer, we have the French modem, we have the Indian fantails, but now in all pigeons, all of them were crossbreed from the rock